Hey, what's going on everybody? Alex here with Freedom Mowers. I hope you all are doing well. Today we are on to part 4 of our free push mower to $2,000 challenge. We're doing pretty well right now. We're at $870 after the first 3 machines, and we have a $150 machine that we are going to be working on today. I'm going to make this series into a playlist so you guys can follow along, but let's jump right to it and see what our $150 machine is today, and hopefully we can get this thing turned around and find us a 0 turn so we can complete this challenge. And here it is in all of its glory. We've got I think this is a 2013 T1000 Craftsman. This is a MTD made lawn tractor. We have the 420cc engine on here. This is I think it's like the MTD branded engine, but I believe it's just a Chinese 420cc that they put on a few years. If you guys ask Henry over there at Mowers and Blowers, he'll tell you that these things are junk, because basically everyone that he's had has thrown a rod, and I think I've had 2 come through here and they both had thrown rods. This is probably the first on the channel that we have had a running, driving, and cutting lawnmower. So this does start, run, drive, cut, but we definitely have a few things going on with it that we need to address and get it all cleaned up and ready for resale. Let's see, so the guy actually had this listed for 200 bucks, running, driving, cutting, and I jumped on it quick. He said he had someone else that was already interested, and I told him I got cash and a trailer ready, let me know if the guy doesn't come through, and he said the other guy fell through. So I was on the way over there as soon as he told me, and I looked over a few things on it, tried to nitpick it a little bit, and I ended up getting it for 150 bucks. So I think we are in pretty good shape with this. The battery does work. Like I said, runs, drives, cuts. But we have a large, looks like a 2x6 that is bolted to the mowing deck. I have no idea what's going on with that. We're gonna figure that out. The steering on here is extremely hard. There's a few places we can grease on here. I did take a peek at the steering gear. We'll look at all this when we get into the shop, but the steering gear itself looks good. So I don't think we have got anything stripped out yet, but a lot of times these do get hard to turn and people keep wrenching on it and it'll tear up that gear, and then you got to replace the whole steering column in here. I did look, it has almost brand new, I think they're 510 blades. They're green up towards the middle, and it looked like there were brand new spindles on here as well. I don't know if this was the factory key switch, because to me that didn't look right, but it could be for that era. And what else? I guess we'll take a look at the usual stuff on here. It did say that it was serviced of June 2021. I don't know if it had been serviced since then. Air filter's pretty dirty. Just give a quick look at the oil. We'll get a proper check when we get it on level ground. There is oil in it and it doesn't look too dark. There's probably 1/5 of a tank of gas in it. But yeah, that's pretty much it on it. We will go ahead and get this thing pulled into the shop and see what we can do. I guess we can go ahead and just crank it up. Show you guys. It's pretty loud. I don't know if it needs a valve adjustment. There was little pops and sputters every now and again, or if it just needs the carb cleaned, but we'll get everything addressed and get this thing going good. These engines sound terrible anyway. You guys can hear the little backfires when you bring the throttle down. You can see the hood doesn't really sit where it's supposed to. don't know if the muffler is what's going on with the muffler or what, but yeah, this thing is just dry, squeaky, feels clunky, but we'll go through it all, see what we can do and get this thing to be a smooth runner as always. All right, and I don't know why I pulled it back into the shop, because the first thing that I want to do on here is pull that mowing deck off from here so we can get a good look as to what's going on with the lumber that we have installed. There's a first for everything, so let's see. On these mowing decks, we have a pin here, so we're gonna have one right here. Once you take that out, that rod comes out in this arm, and then you have the same thing on the other side. I can't tell if they even have, there's supposed to be a cotter pin right here on this cable, but it doesn't look like they have one. So we'll just pull back the cable, get the spring undone. Just have to unhook the front arm there, take the belt off, which on this one, yeah, see the belt keeper's not even in place either. This tab is actually supposed to come through this hole on the back side, and that's your belt keeper. So that wasn't on, and that's about it. So I'll go ahead and I'll throw you guys on the time lapse real quick. We'll get this mowing deck off and we'll see what's really going on. All right, it only took a couple minutes to get that off. These decks are pretty easy to remove, which is nice. Overall condition looks really good on here. Like I said, it looks like we've got new spindles. We have a new deck belt. This one, I'm assuming, is maybe like an Amazon one. It says Power something another. 4L960, made in Thailand. But this block of wood here, I think that they may have put this on here to help support the tensioner arm. These do sometimes get a little bit of play in them, but that shouldn't really, that's just the way all of these decks were. We'll check, but we're gonna take this off. I did flip it up real quick just to look, and it is bolted all the way through, but the underside of the deck looks extremely clean. Like I said, these blades on here, they look just about brand new. The edge is dull, but we'll get that sharpened up, and the rest looks good though. I'll have to see, yeah, that pulley right there is way too tight, unless the bearing's shot. That one feels pretty good. Get you guys up on the tripod. I'm gonna figure out what sizes I need to loosen this up and take the block of wood off from here. All right, well, they got this thing double nutted on here, and it is like totally froze up. The bolt feels like it's gonna break, so I'm just gonna go get the cutoff wheel and just cut this off. So we'll be done with it. I'll show you guys once I get that block off from there. All right, well, I did not have to get the grinder out. I gave it another half turn, and that bolt ended up just breaking off. And then the other one had a Phillips head screw, and that one actually came out pretty easy. So we got the block of wood off from here, and I did check. This has about the normal amount of play that these normally do. They have a little bit of up and down, and everything seems to be fine. The noise that we were hearing on this pulley, if I can get the belt to sit right, there we go. You guys can see that now. What it was is it was actually the belt keeper here. If I can get it in the light, the belt keeper was actually pushed up and it was rubbing on the pulley itself, and this one is very close to on this one, so I'm going to push this one down too. But I think we are all good with the mowing deck on here. Like I said, the spindles are good and our pulleys are good, so everything seems all set. I think we're going to try to do a valve adjustment on this, at least check them to see where they're at on it. I don't know if they've ever been done, So that could be part of our little spitting and popping that we got going on. And if that doesn't fix it, then we probably just have a little bit of some dirt in our carburetor, and we can get to that if we need as well. So let's get this pulled in and let's do a valve adjustment. Alright, and I have had one of these off in the past. I believe that there's actually an O-ring that goes around the valve cover on here, so we shouldn't have to worry about a gasket. I may go get a wrench before I snap these off, but these are 10mm on the valve cover. Just don't want to break them, so we'll try to back them off a little easier. Then I'll get the impact, take them all the way out. I don't think anyone's ever been in here, judging by how tight these are in. There we go. Yeah, it just has this O-ring seal that goes around the inside. And now we can check. I'm gonna have to look to see what the specs are on this, because I'm not sure. But I wanted to just see if we got anything that's like super loose. Golly. All right, so that one's compressed. Honestly, that one feels really tight, almost maybe too tight, we'll see. And that one feels too loose. So let me look up the specs on this, and it looks like we just got one jam nut, and then we've got our adjuster underneath of it to get our adjustments right. All right, after a little research, I was having some trouble finding it, and some people were just saying 4 to 6 thousandths, which should put us in the ballpark. That's usually about what they're supposed to be at. I did grab my 6 thousandths feeler gauge, and it's just going right through on this bottom valve, which should be, I believe, I think that one's our intake on here. But it's a 10mm to get the adjustment or the lock nut loose. And my hands are right in the way. Wow, that thing is on there. I don't want to break anything. That's getting sketchy. Well, I'll hold it with the other side here and see if we can crack it loose. The other side is a 14. Really don't feel like smashing my knuckles today. Shouldn't be that tight though. Here we go. All right. So definitely hold that adjustment nut so we don't snap anything off, and get you guys set back up here. So what I did earlier was I made sure that the opposite valve than what I want to adjust is compressed all the way down. That's just the way I do it. You can do it. There's several different ways that you can do it. This is the way I do it. So this is a 6 thousandths. I'm probably gonna put it at a tight 6 thousandths. That way it's closer to about 5, because for some reason I don't have a 5 thousandths on this feeler gauge. So we'll try to set it there, and then I'll check it with the 4. It's getting a little tricky here. All right, I'm just gonna leave the gauge in there. Hold down on my actual adjuster. This is tight in here, so we'll see where we're at. I'm not gonna get crazy torquing it down right now. Yeah, see, now that feels too tight, but we'll check it with the 4 thousandths and see where we're at. Yeah, see, I over tightened it. This one's a little tricky. I might be able to back that up just a hair. We'll see what that does for us. Still too tight, so we're gonna have to back this off. Yeah, now our 4 is going in there with some drag. Maybe we'll just do a loose 4. So the 4 is sliding in there pretty easy. And then I'm gonna grab my 6 and see if that just feels too tight. And then we should be right around 5 thousandths, which is what I want anyway. Yeah, see the 6 isn't going in there, but the 4 is. So we should be right around 5 thousandths on this valve. So that feels pretty good. I'm gonna check everything over. I'll go ahead and spin the engine over by hand a couple more times and just double check the clearances, but that's really about it. And then I'm gonna wipe it down, put the cover back on, and we're gonna fire this up. All right, I've got the cover buttoned up on there, so we should be good to try and test this out now. Hopefully it'll sound a little better than earlier. I gotta make sure the choke's all the way on. Does sound a lot better. Still sounds like a box of marbles though. I don't particularly like these engines. They just seem very cheaply built. I did look around the muffler to see if I saw any leaks because it is pretty loud, but that might just be the way the internal baffles are on these. I don't know. It does fire right up. One thing I do want to check though is just to make sure our charging system is working. It should be. I haven't seen the lights come on yet. That was one of the things I was wondering about with the key switch too, because normally you can go back and there's one for lights. Maybe these always run, I don't know, but we'll double check. But so far so good. All right, well the GoPro battery decided to not have any charge left. So I got a new one from inside the house. We're gonna go ahead and try to work on the steering. I did put a jack up underneath the front, and off the ground it does obviously steer better. It doesn't have the weight on it, but still has a lot of resistance to it. So I have some white lithium grease. I'm gonna go ahead and start spraying it down on, well, basically I'll show you guys. I'm gonna put it down on the gear itself and then down on this plate. Then I'm gonna go side to side with it. I wanna get that spot that I missed. And I am gonna clean a lot of this up too when I pressure wash this. So I'm just gonna try to soak it down right now. And that's already feeling better. Just a quick spray. Yeah, I'd like to basically just soak it down, and then once I pressure wash, it'll get the majority off so that it's just not attracting a bunch of dust in there and then just wearing things out. But that already feels 100 times better than it was. Awesome. And then what I can also do as well, I'm not going to do it right now because there's a lot of dirt in there, but underneath of these little plastic covers, because there's no zert fitting or anything to put grease in on these, When I get this pressure washed, I will go ahead and put some white lithium down here into this bushing. I just don't want to put it in there now with all that dirt, and we should be pretty solid, but I think that's the majority of the fix alone right there. So we will go ahead and get this back down on the ground. I'm going to check underneath of it real quick on the drive belts. I mean, everything felt solid. It was moving just fine in first gear. Normally on these tractors, if it doesn't really move in like first or second speed, and you actually have, it does work in like 4, 5, 6, whatever, then normally the belts are worn on it. But this one was pulling solid just from the get-go. So let me get underneath it here with a flashlight, but it already looks like we've got pretty good belts on our Very Drive system. All right, and then a quick look under here. I just took a better look, but everything looks good. Our belts look good. The upper one there on the upper portion of the transmission, because you have 2 belts for the Very Drive, and then our longer one down here, everything looks good. So I would say we are solid with our drive system, and fortunately we don't have to deal with belts on this one, because the Very Drive is kind of a pain in the butt, and you have to use MTD specific belts, otherwise you will end up with slipping transmission issues. And I've done it before, so lesson learned. All right, so we look pretty good there. Our drive system, we just have to put our mowing deck back on here. I think we are in pretty good shape. Once we get this back down on the ground, I probably will go ahead and just hose off and pressure wash the mowing deck. That way we don't have to drop that back down off from here again, but I will get that mounted back up, probably put the hood back on, and then we will get this thing cranked up. We're going to check the charging system on here, double check that everything feels good in the transmission. We're going to engage the deck, and then we'll get this thing all detailed up. All right, and I got the mowing deck back on here, and I was able to get that guard that was off earlier. I thought it actually went into this point, but it actually goes up here, because if it's back in this hole, it sits back too far and it doesn't really actually keep the belt on. So I'm wondering if maybe they were having issues with the belt jumping off or something, because it wasn't in the right spot. Other than that, just got it pressure washed and bolted back up, so we can go ahead and at least test and make sure that the deck's gonna work, and we can move on from there. We'll check the deck, and then I'll pull it back over here, and we're gonna check the charging system just to make sure everything's working like it's supposed to. But we'll give it a shot. Take a quick look. Everything looks good under there. bed down nice. Looks good, looking good. We'll go ahead and pull this back over to the shop and see what else we got. We'll check that voltage. Awesome, well it seems like the cutting deck is working good on here. We'll go ahead and check this voltage with the mower off. We are at 12.79 right now with it off, so we'll go ahead and crank it up. All right, well, looks like we got a good charging system. We're 12.6, 12.7, and then we cranked it up, so obviously the power is gonna diminish a little bit for the cranking, but then it went right back up. Was charging just fine, and then at full throttle it was right at 13 volts, so that's perfect. So where are we at? We've got good drive belts. Everything works as far as the drive system on it. Our charging system is good. I did check the oil in here earlier. I forgot to show that. Oil level was good. I am going to do a oil change, fuel filter change, and air filter. We'll do like a full tune-up on this. But I need to probably order a kit because I don't know if anywhere local has anything for this engine. Let's see, where else? We've got our steering good on here. Everything feels solid. Deck's good. I mean, everything seems solid. Blades need sharpened, but yeah, I would say we've got what, a couple hours invested in it. We've got $150 in the mower. Hopefully this will sell for about $550 to $600. So in a few hours time, we're gonna make at least hopefully $300 to $400 on this machine. I think at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and take it over and get this all pressure washed up. Then I can put some spray on those front spindles on the for the steering, and we can get a good overview as how everything's working, operating. We'll do some test cuts for a little bit with it, but I am also filming a separate video right now of detailing this tractor because I've had a lot of you guys ask about it. So I'm gonna get my tools put up, I'm gonna get this thing washed up, and we will check it out when I've got it all clean and ready to do some full-on testing. All right, this thing turned out super nice after spending some time. I've got the detailing video up, or should be up next. I can't decide which one I'm gonna put up first, but a lot of people have been asking about doing the detailing videos. But this thing turned out super sharp for a $150 lawnmower. I believe we've probably got hopefully a $600 machine here. I will tally up here in a few minutes just to see where we're at on the free push mower to $2,000 challenge. I'm gonna get you guys on the tripod. I'm gonna crank this up and we're gonna do some test cuts here in a minute just to make sure that everything is solid on it. I did do the normal buffing of the headlights. I threw some LED light bulbs in there as well. Show you guys up under here. Y'all remember what this thing started like. I still very much dislike these engines, but it is what it is. That's what's on this machine, and we're gonna try to make this thing run and last as long as we can. So yeah, I'm super excited about it. All right, guys, well, that is cutting excellent. I actually forgot to level the deck on here, but I was watching after I was coming back on the rows, and it's cutting extremely smooth. I will double check on these mowers. The adjustment point, you have to take this nut loose, and then the bigger nut actually adjusts up and down, so you only have one side to adjust. You basically have to match the right hand side, and then also make sure the front's level. But it is cutting extremely even. The deck is nice and smooth. Everything seems to be working good. I believe that they must have disabled the mow in reverse. There's usually a switch underneath, like on the front of the transmission. I forgot to check that too, but it was cutting in reverse just fine. So yeah, this is turned out really nice. I think it's going to be a good machine for somebody. And like I said, I'll get this thing fully serviced, and probably going to be one of the quickest flips we got. So let me tally up where we are at on the challenge, and then we'll close out this video. All right, and this is where I am at. If you guys can see it, we were at $870 after the last mower. Then we spent $150 on this, which left us a total of $720. It's probably going to take about $20 to do the tune-up kit on here, but that was all the money we need to spend on this machine. I think we should be all set. So with the $700, I'm hoping that we can get, we'll just go with $550. So we should be somewhere around the $1,250 mark after this is sold, and that's what we're going to have to be able to spend on another machine. And I'm hoping that we can find a fairly decent zero turn that we can scoop up and get that turned around and make some good profit off from it, and finally hit that mark of $2,000 that we have been trying to get with this challenge. So as always, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I love hearing you guys in the comment section. I try to reply back as much as I can. I have been getting flooded with emails and comments lately, so I'm doing my best to keep up, and I really appreciate it. So on that note, let freedom ring, let the small engine sing. I'll see you all in the next one.